Good morning, Mr. Tan.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thank you.
Perfect.
On this early morning when we record this.
It is very early.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Benjamin Williams, and on behalf of the Cisco Inclusion and Diversity, and especially the Cisco Black Employee Network, we are interviewing you. You are a successful Dutch TV presenter, radio presenter, writer. You have your own clothing line called Humberto Tailored for Excellence.
Yeah.
Apart from that, you are also a board member for the Red Cross, and you are also affiliated to the Suri Prof. That's a foundation that raises funds for charities in Suriname.
Yeah.
Could you tell a little bit more about the Suri Prof?
Well, the Suri Profs is a foundation where we try to, as you say, try to raise money for projects in Suriname. That's the country where I was born, 1965. And what we try to do is to connect Dutch Suriname football players with people in Suriname. And we do that by doing it to let them play one game a year. And with the money we raise from that game, we try to finance projects in our home country, in the country where lots of those players are born. Because you mustn't forget that in the history of Dutch football, lots of Suriname players have been playing for the national Dutch team, or players with Suriname heritage. Well-known players, like Patrick Kluivert, Edgar Davids, Clarence Seedorf, Ruud Gullit, Frank Rijkaard, Aaron Winter. So many players have that Suriname heritage. And via the Suri Prof, we try to do something in return for Suriname as a country.
Well, it's really being appreciated. I can tell you that by the people in Suriname. Well, you are doing all of these things. In essence, what a lot of people would like to know is what drives you to succeed in all of those areas.
The thing is, I don't really look at the areas I try to succeed in. I try to live my life to the fullest, and I try to see what my potential is in areas that interest me. From nature on, I'm really curious, and I've got a curious mind and a curious spirit, and I always want to be inspired by ideas or people or work environment, colleagues, and that's what really drives me. And by doing that, yes, I have success, but that is not my drive. It's maybe a fruit of my drive, but it's not the goal. The goal is to have my life and to live it in full extension.
It's nice. It's really nicely said. And also, I've read about you that you have a master's degree in law.
Yeah.
But you do not apply it, well, at least not directly in all the areas that you are working in.
No, not directly, but as an entrepreneur, for instance, you come across with legal stuff as well. So it is useful. But also in sports, it's really useful. In journalism, like on the radio station, I have a daily radio show in the morning at BNR News Radio from 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. And lots of times you have legal issues. Criminal law, private law, bank law. So I've got the
What is
affiliation.
your specialty?
I would say my specialty is more private law, not criminal law, and patent law, intellectual property in general. That's my specialty, but I've got a legal sense.
In general,
and because I'm master at law, because I've studied it as well, I have some knowledge. But you know, it's a lot of years ago that I had my master. So I'm master at law, but I don't master law anymore.
That's a good one. Being a TV and a radio personality, if anything, what type of programs or subjects would you like to see more of being talked about in the media?
I would say in general, I would like to see more of people inspiring another. There are lots of problems, and you gotta have those problems talked about as well and addressed. But there's so many people with so many ideas and so many inspiring actions that other people can learn from.
Yes.
I would like to see more of those things. Inspiring ideas, inspiring people. That's what I like. Yesterday I was in this program where we had two internet entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Great. I love those guys who make up something. They don't go for the money, they go for the idea and they try to make it work. And they don't know if it works, but they put all their effort into
Their
it.
passion.
Their passion. And that's what I love. But that's a personal thing I like a lot, to see people have their passion and try to look for success and try to fulfill their passion.
Regardless of what they do.
Regardless of what they do, if they have the passion and if they have the energy to do it. I love watching that.
Doing all these different things, and you said that you are getting inspired, that you would like to see more of those types of programs, those inspiring programs. Who inspires you?
Lots of people inspire me.
If you were to name 3 people, dead or alive?
One, I would go to my best friend, just next to me, Robert. That's my best friend. I've been knowing him for like 43 years. I'm 46 now. That's one. 2 are on international level. I would say people like wise people, Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, those kind of person. People who not only look at their own interests but in general interests, really hard. And number 3, I would say sports in general, because sports has a power that some people, athletes in general, sport, and try to fulfill that dream of being best at something. Try to fulfill that dream of winning. You don't have any guarantees, and still you put effort into it. The coaching of young athletes. I think sports is one of the biggest positive drives in our world.
It brings us together.
It brings us together, and it make you try to reach for something. It's a big metaphor for trying to reach something in your life. And that's why sports inspires me as well.
Do you play sports now?
I don't do anything.
Okay.
I am too busy. I used to do quite a lot of sports. I talk about sports, but and I walk the dog. That's a sport.
That's a sport, I know.
That's a sport.
3 times a day.
Oh yeah. When I finish this interview, I go home and I walk the dog for an hour.
Okay.
And I like that. But I don't do active sports anymore. I used to play soccer, football.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm too old.
Well, moving further on that, on the actually the inclusion of sports of the different cultures. At Cisco, inclusion and diversity is also very important. We think that via people from different genders, different ethnicities, different cultures, that brings an added value to the company itself, also in doing business with other businesses. Therefore, we in Cisco have a employee research group, such as the Black Employee Network. You already indicated more or less what inclusion means to you. Where are your thoughts on the presence of inclusion in regards to the Dutch media? For example, television.
Yeah. It's quite hard, apparently, to be diverse on television or radio or in newspapers.
Okay. Why would you say that?
Because you don't see lots of people of color in Dutch media. Last years you see more of it.